What's good, family? Welcome to another episode of Rolam Live. My name is Rolam. I am your host, and today I am being joined by Jaron Martin and William Macey, the co-creators of Reaper's Touch. How y'all feeling today? Y'all good?
Yeah,
Feeling
good.
good,
How you
man.
feel?
How you
Man, I'm
doing?
cool, man. I'm cool. Definitely glad to have y'all on. We're gonna talk about your comic book series. We're gonna talk about your current Kickstarter that's going on right now. I think you have 5 days left.
About
Yeah.
5 days.
Yep.
Ends on October 1st.
For sure. So we definitely gonna talk about that. But before we do that, well, first let me say, if you're tuning in, please hit the like button, share this with somebody, subscribe to the channel. I do this every Wednesday, mostly every Wednesday. But yeah, we just have great conversations about creativity, life, and how it's all connected. So yeah, before we get into our main conversation, though, I love to ask the question: what is inspiring you right now? What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? What's happening right now that's getting your creative juices going?
Oh man, well, I'll let you take that one first.
So for me, I guess right now it might be I'm really into like some of the Tolkien stuff right now. Like I'm doing crazy deep dives into all of this Lord of the Rings stuff right now. Like I've started watching Rings of Powers. I got the Silmarillion at home. Like I've read a lot of it, but like lately I've been doing like super deep dives into that, and then a lot of Transformers.
Okay.
Like I've been going back like over the weekend, me and my daughter, I got up Saturday and I was like, just put something on the television. I put the G1 one and she sat down. She's like, what's this? I'm like, it's the Transformers. And she started watching. She's like, yo, can we watch some more? I'm like, yeah, we can watch some more.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah, for me, so just finished up not too long ago that Bloodline series. That was in my opinion super dope. And then I'm enjoying kind of reading some throwback stuff like the new Thundercats comic book that's out.
Yeah.
So yeah, oh yeah, I'm reading that now. I mean, it's pretty much kind of like following the same storyline, but it's just pretty cool to see some new artwork being put behind it, and it seems like there are some slight variations within the storyline, and then the Transformer stuff too for me. Just super nostalgic and just kind of getting very deep in all that stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
Have y'all got into what's it called? Void Rivals? Have y'all got into that?
I don't
No.
even know it.
I think it's maybe I'm tripping. I saw it on the shelf the other day, and I thought it said like a Transformers and G.I. Joe situation. But
It might be.
Maybe I'm tripping.
Because I'm like, there's so many different variations for like G.I. Joe Transformers, and like
Yeah.
they pushing heavy for that because they're going to drop a movie at some point, or they teased that they would drop a movie for it at some point.
Right.
So
right. Well, they had that little crossover in which movie was that? I guess it was the last Transformers.
yeah,
Right.
the one with the beast machines, or
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Rise of the Beast. Yep. So I don't know. That could be interesting. But no, that's dope. All that's dope. I think for myself, honestly, I feel today I just woke up really just heartbroken over just some of the stuff I'm seeing in the world. You know what I'm saying? From Palestine to Marcellus Williams in Missouri. And in a lot of ways, like it's sad and it's heartbreaking. And also there's some inspiration there, right? There's some for me, it creates some type of urgency just around, my art, what I want to create, what I want to put into the world, what I want to say to the world with the things that I put into the world. And then obviously, it being election season and just, really listening to some of these arguments and just the talking points and just seeing where the country is at, where people's heads are at. You know what I'm saying? That's really been getting me, inspiring me to get in front of my desk and write and create. And also just thinking about the intentionality of what I'm creating, right? What I'm trying to say with what I'm creating. Because and I won't go too far on a tangent, but that's always very scary to me. Like when people say, what is it you want to say? Right. And that's always a scary question because I don't always know what I want to say. Right. Sometimes I just want to create and I just want to put it out. But I feel like I'm getting to a place now where it's like on some level, it is important, what you want to say.
Necessary.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just been thinking a lot about that, and that's been getting me going. So, anything else y'all want to add to that?
Yeah. I would like to piggyback on that.
Yeah. Do you think?
Because I agree. Like the state of the world is in so much distress, but the silver lining for all of that is for us as creatives, as Black creatives. On top of that, at least now there's more of an avenue for our stories to be told. Like there's so many more people that at first would have been adverse, like, oh, I don't want to touch that because that's a Black title, or I don't want to touch that because that's Black heroes, or nobody's not necessarily waiting on Marvel or DC to try and get your product out. Like we've hit so many circuits or done so many circuits and met different people where I'm just like, there's so many of us, and I'm like, I remember a time when I was younger, back in the Stone Age, like literally it was this one dude and he worked for a local comic company, but it had national ties. His name was Reggie Byers. And he was drawing Robotech at the time, which blew my head because like a 15-year-old me, this dude is drawing a cartoon that I sit there and I watch every day, but he's Black and he lives in my city. So it was a big deal to me. So like him, the brothers that created Brother Man, like they were few and far between. But now there's so many of us that we're in the forefront and we're driving a lot more of it. And then on top of it, the movie that everybody's waiting for is the next Spider-Man animated movie. Which, let's face it, nobody would expect Miles to be the dude that he is right now. That movie set so many ripple effects, just like a small drop that blew up and set all of us up to be in a position where it's just like, oh, maybe they do have stories to say.
Yeah. Jaron, you have anything to add to that? You want to say before we?
No, I pretty much echo Will's thoughts, right? So that's to your point that it is kind of like a scary question, but it also prompts you to give like a super honest answer, right? Like in terms of what you want to say, especially in times like this, right? With just the whole political atmosphere and everything that's going on, I think it's important that we get the stories of people of color out there, and our representation needs to. It seems like it's starting to reach a level in which that the heights in which we've never seen before, especially over these really more so over the past few years, so to say. But no, I'll echo yours and Will's sentiments. Just getting what we want out there, without filtering it down either. I feel like that's a good thing, right? So we don't have to kind of like we don't have to do anything other than what it is we know we want to write, what's true to us, and how we want to put that out there for the masses, because people want to see it, right? They want to see themselves in our art and our work. So no, I like you said, with everything that's going on now, there a lot of it is troubling, but in a way, it kind of forces you to be super honest about what's going on and how you want to create.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that sort of brings me to the first question that I have. How would you describe your origin story as individuals and then as a unit, right? What brought you to storytelling?
Okay.
You tell it. You tell your story.
All right. So I've always been into writing in some shape, fashion, or form. Used to rhyme back in the day. I've always written poetry, and just these stories that I would create. Like even back when I first started reading comic books, right? I would write my own versions of those comic books. Up until recent, I think it's been about 7 years now,
Yeah.
when I was just seeing a lot go on in the indie space, especially kind of like with the explosion of Tuskegee Airs. So I know I know both of those guys, and I just got inspired to say, hey, you've had this story you've been kicking back and forth for some time now. Get out there and do it. And then started looking for artists to partner with, um, and reached out to a lot of different people. And at first it was like, oh man, okay, this is expensive, right? It's not easy to do. And then eventually got a million no's because everybody, not too many people wanted to partner. And then it was literally the day I was about to just say, you know what, I'll just table this for a while and just wait until I can save up a bunch of money to make sure things get paid for the way they need to. And then I just so happened to see Brother Will's stuff on Instagram, and I was like, "Oh man, he's like way too dope. He's gonna tell me no too." But I reached out, and he did tell me no at first. He said I'll do some commission stuff, but so after we started building that relationship,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure he just got to see my passion for it and saw that I was a good brother. And he finally said, you know what, let's partner up and get this thing done. You know what I'm saying? So that's my origin and story and how we got to this point here.
for sure,
Right.
for sure.
So but yeah, Will, I'll let you take it from here.
So for me, it was a dark day. No. So I like, and you hear it all the time. Like every artist, I've been drawing forever. I've been drawing. So literally, I've been drawing probably since I was like 5. Like it took me drawing album covers and all kinds of stuff and things like that. But my dad always read comic books. So him having comic books around, I was always in comic books. So we would go to comic shops. I'd be right there with him. I grew up in the 80s, so all that stuff is a part of my history. By the time I was like 12, me and my friends, my little crew, we made our own comic company where we battle one another with our own characters. So the Secret Wars jumps off. We have our own version of the Secret Wars with our own characters. I got into a high school that specialized in art, and I just never stopped. Even when they're just like, oh, that's not something that you should do, not something that we could get into. This is all the different avenues. I just kept always doing it. And like everybody else, there's been moments where like I took it for granted. I thought everybody could just do what I did. And I looked at these sketchbooks on my shelf and I'm like, these are all empty books full of nothing but your thoughts. And then it hit me. It's like, nah, man, this is what we about. So I did a couple indie projects. I did a couple movie projects with different people and they never went anywhere. And fast forward, he hit me up. He asked me if I wanted to do it. I told him no. Because I was like, I've done enough startup companies in my life. I'm like, I don't want to do no more startup companies. But I told him I would do the concepts. So as I'm fleshing out the character, fleshing out the concepts, I was like, you know what? I'll do the first run. And I was like, you know what? Why do just the first run? Why let somebody do what I'm already doing? Just finish it. Let's see where this goes. And then he got married, had a baby. I had a baby. And we kind of fell off. And one day I just like took the old notes that we had. And I was like, just to stay sharp, I did 3 pages. And then out of the blue, he hit me up. He's like, yo, I'm ready to get back to work. I'm like, oh, for real? Because I got 4 pages that I did.
Right.
I showed him 4 pages. He had a script that was almost done. And then it was done. So when you open up the first book, the middle of the book is really supposed to be the first 3 pages of the original story. So, but from that moment on, like we've always moved on one accord. So when we talk, there's never been like any like, oh, this dude trying to get over on me or like everything's always been straight up between he and I.
Yeah.
And that's the part that I appreciate. Like it's really a real partnership and not so much like some others. I don't know if I can curse on here, but some other stuff
Yeah. Do you
with
think?
other people where it would be like, they had like teams of, like I worked for this one dude. He had like a whole group of young people that was working on his book, but it never went nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he had treatments and whole 9 yards, just sat there. And I'm like, yo, what's up? I stopped going to school at one point in time. My mom looked at me like, yo, what's going on with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I believed in what he was doing, but it never turned into nothing. So I'm like, you know what? Dead that. I got to keep working on me.
Yeah.
So I'm happy and I'm thankful that, because of him, because of his vision, because of his foresight and the both of us linking up together, we created what I know to be a dope ass project.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like every book for us, we want to try and make it always better.
Yeah.
So like the first book, I look at him like, that joint is nice.
Yeah.
The second book, I'm like, yo, I put something in that one. This one that I'm working on right now, number 3, I'm like, yo, these pages is crazy.
Right.
But, if I never said it to him before, I tell him and I tell everybody, I'm like, I'm thankful because we both feed off of one another in the best possible way.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely want to hear about the idea. I want you to, give the elevator pitch, right? But additionally, I want to hear what was the genesis of this idea. And I guess, Jaron, you would answer that. But then I want to hear for you, William, what specifically, as you were working on the concepts and working around the idea, what specifically about the idea made you say, I got to be a part of this?
Okay.
So with me, I've always had a fascination with just death, characters and storylines around death, right? And in the Grim Reaper. And the idea started to churn in about, I want to say maybe 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, where I was like, okay, I want to do a story like this, but I don't want to tell it the same way everybody else does.
Right.
Right. And then 2, I want to tell it from, the perspective of, okay, what if it involved all people of color? Right. Now, all races, Greek and Asian or whatnot. So we're going to touch everybody, but the main character is a young Black kid named Devon Midnight, who basically finds out he is the son of the Grim Reaper the summer before his senior year in high school. And as we get into the storyline of the actual book, like I said, it's not going to be what a lot of people think it is. Because when we're out doing the cons and we're talking to people and we're doing the signings, and people are thinking, is he going to have a cloak and, a big side? Is he going to just float around killing people? And we're like, no, this is going to be something completely different. And then at a high level, we're going to explain, okay, there's an issue around issue 7. There's going to be like a conversational book, right? Where there's not going to be a lot of action. It's just going to be Devon asking questions about creation and his lineage and all that other kind of good stuff, where we get a lot more deeper into it. And you'll find out that the reader will actually get to say, oh, okay, wow, no one's really put it together like this before, right? And then his skill sets, his power sets, in everything surrounding his lineage, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a bit different. It's going to be a bit. It is a bit different. We're just the way that we're putting it out there, and we didn't jump into it. We didn't explain everything in the first few issues, right? We want it to be not necessarily a slow burn, but when I'm writing, it's like true to the moment writing, right? I'm not trying to get directly to the point. We want to carry the reader along with us,
You pacing
so
it out.
that, right, as he's growing, the reader is growing with him, and you all are starting to see these other characters as well come to life, only to find out after the first arc. So in the first 3 issues, you're introduced to Devon Midnight, Grandma Rhonda, Mott, and Natasha, and the main villain, which is a character called Dood, Dood. And we named him that for a reason, which we'll also explain. So that was basically the how how I put everything together initially. And to Will, like Will was saying earlier, even when we started, right? If you have the first book, or for people who get the first book, just being true to that, right? Doing something different. The initial first pages of the book start in the graveyard scene in issue 1. Everything before that you see before that in the issue was a last minute addition. And that was because I was thinking, okay, it's a story about the Grim Reaper, right? The son of the Grim Reaper. And do I really want to start it off like that? Because you can kind of see the way that was, from my perspective as a writer, coming from a mile away. It's like, okay, let's do something else. Right. So being able to maneuver like that, and I'll let Will speak more to it, but when I broke everything down and okay, like this is how I want the first arc to go, and this is where we're going to carry on from there, and starting getting into the other character storylines and things of that nature. That's I think the thing that really catches people.
Yeah.
And from a visual standpoint, like, it's funny because now listen to him break down what it is and how it's proceeding is so different from the original way that we kind of started it. Because I think I had a vast array of characters to work with. Grandma Rhonda wasn't even a part of it. She didn't show up till we started working later on in the book itself. And then that character popped up. So for me, it was like, one, the visual set was not to do the usual tropes. And the way that we conducted death and how it was presented to me, I was like, oh, okay. So I could flip this. And because since I like toys and things like that, I was like, I need this to be this way because I want this toy. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that I started doing was I gathered up as much information as possible. Plus, I had one of my favorite animes at the time was Soul Eater. So I was like massively inspired by some of the things that they were doing, because you got a girl with this giant scythe that's alive. So I was like, okay, I like the way that the visuals on this are played off. So, I got caught up watching a couple other things, and it's like, I just got tilted on my head, because to me, if we're going to do this, we have to set ourselves apart from everybody else. That's one. We're dealing with death. Everybody has their own perceived notions of what death is supposed to be. That's two. We're going to break that up. And as a person who's in charge of whatever the visuals are supposed to be, I need this to have a specific look, because to me, I'm like, if this was a cartoon, how would I want it to be? How would I play that off? And the action sequences are built up over a certain period of time because he writes in a certain way, in a certain rhythm. So when people like, yo, did you read the story? I read the story, but I didn't read the book. I had to finish the book and then go and read the book to see what the story was about. And then I passed the book to people who don't necessarily read comic books. When they came back and told me, like, no, that was a good story, I need to see more, that let me know that we was on something. But from a visual standpoint, I just wanted to be on a different tier. Like, Natasha herself is the second oldest, but she's like the lead for this story arc right now.
Yeah.
So she's one of my favorites. Mott, what I put into him, because this brother's got dreads, I put in Dinka signs on everybody. So everybody, once you see their mask themselves, every mask has a specific connotation and name to it. Mm-hmm. So that's that. Dude himself because he's constantly evolving. And when you read the first book, you see what happened to him. So in the beginning, his Ndinka symbol is facing sideways, but it says slavery. When he goes full on and it turns itself up, he's already encapsulated in whatever he's going to be. So he's a full on slave to whatever the rhythm is that he's moving to. And he's constantly evolving. So with that character, I looked at him kind of being like living ink, kind of the way that Venom was. Like when you play Marvel versus Capcom and you see how Venom's body would manipulate itself, that's where I was with that. So I was like looking at Tin Can 21, a couple other people, a lot of Capcom, a lot of Joe Mad stuff, and I got inspiration from out of those things. It was just like, this dude, I dug deep into my hip hop bag. I'm like, yo, this brother gonna have like the rundown Timbs, the Islamic scarf around his neck, the hoodie that, you know, looked like it already been through something, plus the crazy long sleeves. Like that's like, I love drawing that dude all the time. But Natasha was like on some Muslim kind of way. Like she's very, the woman that she's based off of is a small frame woman to begin with. But because she's so battle tested and ready, and she got like these tattoos on her body, I created her and crafted her with like more of a baggy look, kind of more like an Islamic look. So I went worldwide to make sure that there's representation from our people. So whether Islamic, whether Arabic, whether African, whether American hip hop and stuff like that, that's where I started coming in. Even like the logo itself, it was done in graffiti. And the colorist that we had at the time, he broke up some of the components in it, but it's still basically the same logo that I created. You know, so it was like everything went into creating like a specific visual set to it.
Yeah. No, that's dope. What's good, Brad? If you're just joining us, definitely go check out the Reaper's Touch Kickstarter that is going on right now. It's on Kickstarter currently. The link is in the description of this video. So if you're on YouTube, it's in the description. If you're on Facebook, it should be there as well. But definitely check it out, the way they're pitching it. I read the first issue. I actually have it right here. I don't think I got issue 2 yet.
We'll get it over to you.
definitely worth the read. So definitely check it out for sure. But no, all that sounds great. I think my next question is, I guess more about, I'm really interested in when I meet like writing teams and collaborating teams. What's been the most rewarding part of this collaboration for you?
Oh man. The excitement behind it, right? So, and then seeing the actual finished product, right? Like, so when as
nothing like getting that art in the inbox.
Yes, sir. Like when he sent me the cover for issue 1, I was like I just, and this was just with the lines and the inks. Yeah, for that one. This was before we got it colored.
That's crazy.
I saw that and I was like, oh, you kidding me? Like, because
we did it. We made it.
Right. The main character is based off of my oldest son. So I'm literally like, I got it on my phone and I stopped everything I'm doing. I'm walking around like my job. I'm working around my job like, like I'm showing everybody. And they're like, oh man, what is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? And I was like, okay, yeah, that's, so just seeing that, like as he's sending me what he's working on, just the sheer, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be crazy. This is gonna be crazy. And then finding somebody where you click in a manner as to where, for instance, from a writing standpoint, like when we first started, the way I do all of my scripting, it was super descriptive for each one of the scenes. And then I started seeing where Will was taking it. And it was like, oh, I don't have to be this descriptive because he's already there and and beyond, right? So it makes it that's super cool too, because I don't, outside of the actual dialogue, right? Um, as I'm explaining what each panel needs to look like, I now know how to um I now know how to push his pen.
Right.
And he does the same for me, right? So I know I can throw something crazy in a panel that, you know, some people might be like, oh, that's too much. But will take all my craziness and say, okay, I'm gonna multiply this by 10. Right? You're gonna see this on another level, which I'm like, man, okay, so he did that with issue 1, issue 2. I now know I can get super crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then with issue 3, we just keep getting better and better. So this is the overall excitement around creating for me, seeing it get done, and then seeing how people enjoy the book, right?
Yeah.
They love the art, they love the storyline. People are begging us, okay, when's issue 3? When's issue 3 coming? When, you know, what are y'all gonna do next? And it's just all of that, seeing it all come together, and to see the same excitement for something that you're doing that we have for other creators in this space. It's just that's what does it for me, man. That's what does it for me.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the idea. Like I said, I work with different people, so every writer comes with something specifically different. So when he would write something, I'm like, from a visual standpoint, I'm like, I can't put all this stuff in here. Not like this. I got to chop it up. So there have been other people where it'd be like, you know, I need to do it this way. Well, this is the way I wrote it. Okay, I understand that's how you wrote it. I can't translate into a drawing like that. You're looking at something from a movie frame. I can't do that. And I would get into discourse with different writers over certain things where it's like him, I'll be like, look, this sequence, I'm going to extend it because I need to be able to have the reader see specific things that are going to happen. So one case in particular, there's a sequence where the characters are walking down a specific type of hallway. They go into this room and then he sits in the chair. So to extend that sequence, I show him walking, gliding his hand across the wall, finding the specific chair, holding the chair, and then he sits down in the chair. Because that way it encompasses more for the reader to be like, boom, 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 boom. Okay, that chair just didn't magically appear. This is his seat. Like he specifically pulled out his chair to sit down in that chair. And it's moments like those that I get gassed over because I'm like, it's simple. It's a subtle moment, but it could mean so much more. And like you said, the fact of I got 2 books in the can. I got 2 books completely done. Because I'm going to tell you right now, whether other people tell you or not, or however it is that they process it, the first 10 pages of a book is where I'm just like, I'm done. I don't know what we're going to do because I can't do no more. And then I'll get to number 11, number 15, and then I'm just like, oh, well, we almost done. And then before I know it, the book is done. And then I pass it to him, and we pass it to all the other hands, and next thing I know, you're like, yo, I'm sending it to print. You're sending it to print? And then he'd be like, it's coming back. It's coming back. And then he'll be like, oh, shoot, we got 3 books. We almost 3 books deep now. So I get excited over the fact of the completion aspect. And like I said, because he's the kind of person that he is, he's masterfully diligent on those things because like a lot of artists, like I told you, by page 10, I'm just like, oh, I'm spent. I can't do no more.
Yeah.
But, you know, he'll send me something. I'm like, yo, I could do this, 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 and this. And then the idea of competition also is an earmark between all of us. Because I'm like, I'm here to compete with traditional means. I'm here to compete with the other tiers. I'm here to compete with everybody. And when anybody tells me like, yo, I like your style, I like this, the first thing I tell them, like, I need you to read it. Because it's not about just me. It's about us. So As much as he's like, yo, look at this, I'm the exact same way for him.
Yeah.
The minute that the book is done, I tell people, I need you to read this.
Yeah.
I appreciate you liking the artwork, no doubt about that. But I need to make sure that we going in the right direction.
Yeah. 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 You know, and this is why I love talking to teams. I love talking to collaborators. You know, like even when you talk about, you know, you going back to him and saying, look, I need to extend this, right? One of the biggest things about collaboration, in my opinion, is trust, right?
Yeah.
If you tell me, look, I need to do this with the book, right? I gotta trust you to be able to say, yeah, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? When I write my comic book scripts, I always put a little note at the beginning, and I tell the artist, I say, look, there's a few things in here that I'm really adamant about, but for the most part, these are suggestions, right? So this thing says we got 6 panels, and you think you could do it in 4, or you need to do it in 4, that's what we doing. If it say 4 panels and you need 7 panels, we doing 7 panels, right? Because I want to establish that, hey, I trust you as a storyteller. You know what I'm saying? I trust you as an artist as well, right? But I also been in situations where I didn't trust my collaborator, right? I didn't trust that they had the best intention for the project, right? So they would say, hey, I was working on a TV show I did with a producer, and I did not trust that I thought he was trying to debo my idea. So every time he would say something, I'm like, yo, you trying to change it. You know what I'm saying? You trying to, again, I didn't trust him, and he also didn't trust me, and so it didn't work. And so to hear you guys talk about how you work together and how you trust each other in those moments, to me, is very powerful and that's very special. And that's why I love to hear teams talk about those things, because I think that matters so much, especially as creatives, as Black creatives, as we're trying to build and grow, you know what I'm saying, our brands, our industry. You know what I'm saying? I think that's super dope. I just want to make sure I said that to y'all. And real quick, shout out to Brad. He said he backed and he shared it.
Appreciate
So
that, Brad.
So my next question is, what's your ultimate goal for the Reaper's Touch? And not even just the Reaper's Touch, but just as artists, as creatives, like, where do you want to take this thing?
Film, television, merch, toys, pretty much as far as we can. Next steps for us as we're working on the book is, you know, working on being able to pitch this to different television houses, movie houses, or whatnot. So we're currently gearing up for that, and then kind of figuring out, okay, how do we get into the toy space, the collectible space, right? Because especially with Devon and his power set, once y'all really see what he's able to do, that action figure is going to be insane. Mm-hmm. Like, there's going to be so much you can do with it. And, you know, so that's kind of our goal and where we want to take it. And I'll let, you know, we'll take it from there too. But yeah, we want to see this live action, animated, and to go as far as we can, because right now, outside of the main storyline, once we start getting into the backgrounds of the other characters, man, you're looking at potentially 9-10 different storylines in themselves outside of Devon Midnight, the main character. So you know, there's a lot to do in a plethora of just information there for of storylines and things that we can, you know, kind of like push out. And there's something. The cool thing is there's something for everybody. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's literally something for everybody. So, but yeah, so taking it as far as we can. But I'll let Brother Will expand on that.
I mean, basically, what he said is we're in on the like chord. We're on the same page with that. So, if we can get into a live action space, that would be great. Me, as the kind of creative person that I am, I'm always pushing for 2D animation. Like, 3D is cute and I like it, but I'm always going to want to see straight up traditional 2D. Like, there's nothing more impressive to me than watching those kind of visuals. Like that, And as a collector that I am, and the things that I like, I'm looking for toys. I'm looking for my Mott toy. I'm looking for, like, in my head, I already know what they should look like.
Yeah.
And if I had a 3D print, I would have already made them already. Like, I've sat in classes, I've done clay mock-ups on them, I've done plastiline mock-ups on them just for the hell of it, just for doing it, just to see if I can make them, just to see what they would look like. I'm like, yo, if I pull this joint off, if I pull this off, I'm like, man, just be sitting right there with all my masterpiece scans.
For sure. For sure. Well, look, tell us about the Kickstarter. What are some of the rewards, some of the special offers? Like, what can people expect, to be able to, if they buy the book off Kickstarter, what can they get? What, like I said, the rewards, all that type of stuff.
Yep. So the rewards are, the books themselves. We're doing issue 3 and volume 1 in the same Kickstarter.
Okay.
Yep.
So
it's there.
Is 1 through 3 to make up volume 1, or there's another?
1 through 3 is the makeup of volume 1. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. So we got t-shirts, hoodies. We didn't really go too crazy with a lot of the extras this time around, because of what we're doing with volume 1. Okay. So volume 1 is going to be issues 1, 2, and 3. And there's going to be about, as it stands right now, about 25 or so pages of behind the scenes artwork. So you get to see the creative process that Will went through when we were, when we first started before issue 1. So you get to see the Devon Midnight character go through different iterations. You get to see Natasha's character. You get to see Mott's character. You get to see the original version of Dude, which looks absolutely nothing like he does today. Right. And then like it's a stark difference. And then gonna put some of the early script writing, right? How I jot down my ideas and some of my notes in there too. So volume 1 itself is gonna have so much of that extra content that we didn't go too heavy with a lot of the extras on the different tiers. So, of course you have your tiers where you can get the digital copy, the physical copy, issues 1, 2, and 3, issues 1, 2, 3, and volume 1. So yeah, that's basically what the Kickstarter this time is based around.
Yeah, dope. You want to add something, William? Or
I had a question. So, are we still going to put the missing page from book 1 in?
We are, and I forgot to mention that. Yeah, so
there is a missing page from book 1 that I don't know how it got missing, but it was nice. So, just so everybody know, every book that we do, or every book that I've done with him, because we both love hip hop so much, we love rap so much, the cover, special edition cover for number 2, is a homage to a specific rap album. Book 3, it'll be another homage to another rap album. But throughout every book, especially in book 2, rappers that have passed away, their name is either shown up or they show up. So that page that's missing is a sequence where you see Heavy D running down the steps.
Okay.
But in book 1, Pharoah Monch is in that book, even though he's not passed away, but I love me some Pharoah. Pharoah Monch is in that book. Yeah. Book 2, you'll see Hurricane G's tombstone. You'll see Craig Mack's tombstone. You'll see a lot of people that you won't necessarily think of.
Don't give it all away. Don't give it all away.
I was going to say, you're not going to see Tupac and Biggie because I'm like, that's too easy. You're not going to see that. But look at the movie posters. Look at some of the headstones. And you be like, yo. And there's a sequence where you'll see like 5 of them as a collective looking at you. Like, yo, who is that? And if you know, you know. I did my best to try and capture them the way that they're supposed to be.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now that's dope. Let me ask you this. What do you wish you knew in issue 1, working on issue 1, that you know now working on issue 3?
Something we would have done differently. And it's not even with the book, so to say. I think just from a more so of a marketing and an advertising perspective for me, because our process has been organic, right? And so let me back up a bit. The reason I wouldn't change anything different from the way we've done each book is because we love what we've done with each book, and it's been so organic, right? We've organically grown. Both of us have. Like I said, Will pushes himself with the art, and then I push myself with the writing every book, right? So I wouldn't change anything about that particular process of it, right? Because that's how you ultimately get to where you're just nailing it, right? But from the marketing standpoint, I would say, I think we probably would have started hitting the concert a little bit earlier than we did, but we kind of couldn't because of COVID. We kind of dropped in the midst of
we came out after COVID. We came out when everybody started coming out again.
Yep. So
when did y'all do your first issue? Like what year was that?
2020.
Oh, 2020. Okay.
Yep, 2020. And I would have had a bigger online presence at the time, and we would have started reaching out to other creators to kind of just start asking a lot of marketing and different business questions. I think that for me, that's the only thing that I would change, because I've absolutely loved the creative process from issue 1. And like I said, I know for a fact I've grown tons as a writer from issue 1 to issue 3 now. So from the creative aspect, not really too much I would change. I know I probably got on Will's nerves because we added those additional pages at the very end of the book. Like we were almost ready to go. I know that, but it was, and then we just almost got to the finish line, and I was like, we gotta add this in. We gotta.
But even that was fine, because I was like, those moments, because he didn't send me something that I thought was corny, I was like, okay, I see where he's going with that, and I could build off of that. So that part was cool.
Yeah.
Just for me, it'd probably be an understanding of time. Like my time management, even to this day, is like, I did sparse stuff here, I did sparse stuff there. So to me, it's always just making sure that I can carve out a section. So I used to just gather up my stuff and go to my job. And that's how the first 2 books were created. Like this time I'm working digitally, so I can't just up and pack up everything, but I'll have to work through the nighttime or early in the morning hours when none of our kids are up. But it's just always constantly being cognizant of the amount of time it takes to do books and pages.
Right.
Like, there's one thing I would say is, like, I wish that I was a lot faster than I've been. Like, I love the work that I churned out, but let's say that he and I worked for Marvel, and this is a book that Marvel's like, we sending this out. These books got to be done in about 3 weeks.
Right.
At the latest, it would have to be 3 weeks, ready to go. So I have to bang out like 2 to 3 pages a day.
Right. Yeah. Do y'all know? I don't know if y'all know Danny J. Quick. He does Ace Blade. He's the creator of Ace Blade. You know Ace Blade, Jaron?
Yeah, I've heard of Ace Blade. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Danny J. Quick. That's the creator of that, creator and writer. So
what's up, Danny?
What's up, sir?
Appreciate you for backing.
So now we're about to I was debating if I wanted to ask this question, but I love asking this question. Y'all mentioned that y'all had babies throughout this process. And so how has fatherhood impacted your creativity?
Oh man. So Being that the main character is based off of my oldest son,
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
it has been it's been a wonderful process, right? Because as I'm writing his character, I'm writing things as if they were happening to actually to him. So it's not him visually. The main character's mannerisms, the way he talks to Grandma Rhonda, his girlfriend in the book, and everybody else, the way he reacts to certain things. That's like how he would react in real life, right? And then our my kids, Will's kids, they're all going to be sprinkled in the book in different issues from in different places. So father, I mean, it's cool because you get to do that, right? You get to see something that was inspired by your children, right? And then it's crazy. I'm looking at some of this stuff, and like I was showing my son the script for issue 3, and he's like you really know me, like you really, some of these things that I write in the way that I write even catch him off guard. He's like, yeah, that's exactly what I would do in that situation.
Right.
He's like, wow, I didn't think about that. Because my son's in the video and other things like that. So it's cool. And then too, you like, there are certain pieces of the book that I write, and I'm just like, wow, you seen him go from, you know, all of them go from babies to where they're at now, right? Like there's a scene that Will did in book 1 where there's a panel of things to come. And it's actually the middle panel of my banner here, where you see Devon Midnight as a child, right? So it's a flashback, goes into now, and then some of the things that are being foreshadowed, and it's just super cool. And I was like, wow, that's how often do parents get to do something like this, right? And pay homage to their children. And then two, none of us are going to be here forever. When we're gone, this is going to belong to them. With this belongs to Will's kids. This belongs to my kids. Like, they're all going to share ownership in this, 50, 40, 50 years from now when we're gone. You know what I'm saying? So this is theirs to inherit and then to grow. So fatherhood from that perspective, and how it affects everything. And then ultimately you want to write something that your kids love, and that they're proud of, that they can read. And I'm not just the old corny dad, right? Like, my kids get to take the book and share it with their friends, and their friends love it. And Mr. Martin and all this other kind of good stuff. Yeah, it affects it a lot, right? And they're also a huge part of why we do it.
Yeah, for sure.
So for me, because my kids know that I draw all the time, it just seems like he's just drawing. So for a while, up until like in recent times, unless we're doing a con, my oldest daughter, she'll just be like, well, where are you going? I'm like, I got to go promote the book. You doing the book again? I'm like, yeah, I got to sell the book. She's like, well, where you going? I'm like, I got to go to another show. She's like, okay. But now
you don't take no picture, I don't believe you.
But now, because she's seen like the first 2 books and some of the posters, and she'll see the bigger works that I've done, because I've done like a couple of things for a couple of places here, and she's just like, oh, that's your stuff. And I did one flea market at her school, and one of the kids bought the book, and he came back, he's like, yo, tell your dad I like that story. And some of her kids in her class will be like, you draw? I'm like, yeah, I draw. They're just like, can I get a book for free?
No.
So for me, that part is amusing, because it's like, I have one daughter, she's too little really to care, because she's 4. But my 9-year-old, who's almost 10, for her it's a whole different story. So she's just like, she'll see me working on the computer, and they'll both see me working on the computer. Like, what's that? And I'm like, that's the book. so what's that thing over there? I'm like, oh, that's the bad guy. And my littlest one like, oh, that's the bad guy? I'm like, yeah, that's the bad guy. She's just like, why you look so mad? I'm like, because he's the bad guy. She's like, oh, he is the bad guy. You're right. So just to have those kind of conversations and know that they know that I'm putting in legwork for something that I believe in, because I need them to have something, whatever it is that they're going to believe in. I want you to believe into it 100%.
Yep. Yep.
So in that aspect, that's where it comes in for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's love. I appreciate y'all sharing that. Before we get out of here, I like to do one more segment. I call it the one. It's just 5 quick questions. The first question is, I usually ask, what's one book that you think everyone should read? But instead, since we're hip hop heads, what's one song that you think everyone should listen to?
One song. Oh, that's
Rosa Parks, Outkast.
Okay.
Greatest hip hop group of all time. Rosa Parks. You know, I could, man, don't get me started.
Say, oh man, it's so many. Believe it or not, I'm a go super old.
Okay.
Just because it didn't change, and that would be The Message by Sugar Hill Gang.
That's a good one.
You know what I mean? Like broken glass everywhere. Like people pissing on the stairs, or they just don't care. I'm like, it's never changed. Like the visuals that man put in that, it never changed.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. That's a good one. What's one word that you would want your legacy described as?
Dope. That brother was dope.
Might be a phrase. Push the envelope. He pushed the envelope. He didn't just sit back and do status quo.
Yeah, dope. What is one thing that you would change about your creative journey?
Oh man, in all honesty, the one thing I would change is if I could have done this, if this earlier.
Yeah.
Right. When the idea, the stars would have aligned, and you know what I'm saying, and me and Will put issue 1 out 10 years ago as opposed to 4. Right. Who knows where we'd be on this journey. So that's the one thing I would change.
Yeah.
Just I wish that I had more time. Like there's no such thing as you get more time, but like carving out little inklings of time here or there, because we work and we got families to take care of, you know, it literally becomes a dedication project. But for me, it would be like if I had my own personal studio space that I could go into and just lock the door and none of y'all ever see me while I'm working. That's what I wish I could do.
Yeah, that's a good one. And the last question is, what's one thing that you want everyone that hears this or sees this to know and to walk away with?
If you got a dream, push for it. Don't wait for the quote unquote perfect time. Because if you wait on that quote unquote perfect time, then there's a good chance you'll never even get started. So like literally, one of my brothers, Greg Burnham, like we used to work together, and he just pushed me. He's like, "Man, you got this idea. What the hell are you waiting on?" Oh, you know, I got to do this. I got to do that. It's gonna cost this and that. And he's like, you know, excuse my language, but he's like, "Fuck that, man. You got to go.
For sure.
You got to go. You got to push, and you just got to, you know, you got to let those creative juices flow. You got to go." So. Yeah, if you got a dream and you got a passion for something, start. That's the only way you're gonna get better. That's the only way you're gonna learn what to do, what not to do, and then you know that's basically how you'll get to where you need to be. So you know you can't get from point A to point B if you don't put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. For me, it's like You can't have fear. Like he just said, it's easier for you to come up with every reason for you not to want to do it. Everybody got a reason not to do something. Everybody got a reason why you can't go here, why you can't go there, why you couldn't do that. It's fear. So at the end of the day, you have to either be comfortable with fear, or you have to learn to master fear to a certain level.
Talk heavy.
And that's where I feel right now. I have to. I'm always struggling with that. Like I said, by page 10, that's fear. That's fear telling you like, nah, this is not gonna work. So you got to master the fear to be like, nah, we're gonna keep doing this.
Yeah.
Everything that we do, our time is finite. And the one thing that we can't control is what we don't know, because that's fear.
Yeah. So
we can't be scared. So like he said, if you got a dream, you got to go for it. That's great. But the other component to that is, it's like, you ain't scared of nothing.
Yeah.
Because the only person that's going to hold you back is you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. And I think, one of the things I started saying was, look, you might be scared, but you just got to do it anyway. Even if you're scared, hey, you got to jump. You got to jump. Look, I appreciate y'all. Everybody, definitely go check out the Reapers Touch Kickstarter. It's on Kickstarter right now. Definitely check it out. It's 5 days left when it ends October 1st, you said?
October 1st. October 1st.
Yes.
And I will add, if you don't mind, so the issue 3 is coming whether the Kickstarter is fully funded or not. So it don't stop nothing for us. So just want to let everybody know that
but still,
we want to get the Kickstarter done,
but but listen, I just want to let y'all know I appreciate y'all. It's always a pleasure and an honor to sit with the OGs and learn.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad you had us on here.
For sure, just hear y'all's wisdom. If you're watching this, definitely like this, subscribe to the channel, share it with somebody. And with that being said, y'all already know I love y'all, and I will see y'all soon. Peace.
Peace.